Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. If you like the idea of starting your own website, but you don't want a whole lot of faff, Squarespace is your friend. It's an all-in-one platform to help you build a website without being one of those people who knows lots of computer stuff. Thanks to their easy-to-use interface, their broad range of customizable templates, and their tools for analytics and social media engagement, you can really step up your online game. They'll even help you choose the best template for your particular project if that's what you want, and let you preview it in action. Visit squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready, visit squarespace.com/jagohazard and enter the coupon code jagohazard to get 10% off your first website or domain. Is it a good deal? Done tooting. And speaking of tooting, today I'm back in Tooting, which is absolutely a creative choice and certainly not just lockdown forcing me to stay local. No siree. Today I'm going to take a look at Tooting Broadway. Tooting Broadway is a station on the southern section of the Northern Line. It sits between Tooting Bec and Collier's Wood. Like the other stations on this section, it was opened in 1926 by the City and South London Railway. The station building was designed by Charles Holden, the company architect for this and other underground lines owned by Underground Electric Railways of London. As such, it's Grade 2 listed, which basically means that you can't knock it down without going through a whole lot of red tape and official rigmarole. I am grossly oversimplifying here. Architecturally, it contains many of the same features that we've already seen in previous videos. In fact, I will link down below to the video on Tooting Bec that covers a lot of that. There's the rather Art Deco Portland stone facade with the large window to let in light. Also, like the other stations on this section, it incorporates those funny 3D roundels. Frank Pick, the general manager, declared his design policy on stations to be simply a hole in the wall, although that never stopped Holden from adding his own little embellishments. Only little ones, mind. One feature it doesn't have is a chandelier, unlike other stations along this line. At platform level, again, it incorporates the standard tiling of the Morden extension. One feature these stations have that I didn't mention last time was the fact that the roundels are at two different levels. One for the convenience of sitting passengers, one for standing passengers. One of those many little features intended to speed things up, if only by a couple of seconds. If it feels like I'm rushing through this, it's because there's a lot more that I want to cover. Tooting Broadway's not just about the tubes. As I've mentioned before, this part of South London was very much tram territory. Tooting was a tram terminus, he said alliteratively. It was here that the London Tramways Company line from central London met the London United Tramways line to Croydon. There are still signs of the past, a manhole cover outside the station, although I think these are technically known by a different name, inspection hatch, maybe? And there's an old tram shed, which is now a bar, which makes it really difficult to Google trams in Tooting. When I used to go drinking there in my dissolute younger days, it still had London Transport fittings, but obviously in lockdown I can't really check whether that's still the case. In 1890 an experiment was carried out on the tram line between Clapham and Tooting involving battery-powered tram cars, but this didn't go anywhere, metaphorically speaking. I'm not entirely clear why, although other such experiments in London ended because of batteries giving off fumes or leaking acid. A more successful attempt at applying electrical power came at the beginning of the 20th century when the line from Westminster Bridge to Tooting was electrified. This used a system where the tram picked up power from a conduit between the rails. The other method of powering trams was using overhead wires, which was cheaper but often raised objections from local authorities due to the frankly rather ugly equipment. Conduits cost more but saved a lot of administrative headaches. The rebuilt line was opened in 1903 by the Prince and Princess of Wales, who travelled on a special tram. Sadly, it couldn't last forever. Trolley buses and later plain old buses started encroaching on the tram's turf over the first half of the century, and in 1950 it was announced that the final trams were to be withdrawn. In 1951, the terminal Tooting tram terminated at Tooting Tram Terminus, thus ending an era. But wait, there's more. Tooting Broadway also saw a couple of aborted might-have-been transport schemes. The first came during the Second World War, and the plan was published in 1946. This was a scheme to build an express tube line directly beneath the Northern Line from Kennington to the Broadway, and it was known as Route 10. Sadly, like most of these grand wartime schemes, nothing came of it. The other was more recent. Tooting Broadway was to be a stop on Crossrail 2 during the planning stages, a proposal that received no small local opposition. As of 2015, the proposed route has been, rerouted through Balham instead. Oh, and there was a sitcom filmed here, I don't know which one. One Foot in the Grave, maybe? Hello all, I hope you enjoyed this broad episode of Tales from the Tube. If you did, then there's a like button right there, and a subscribe button if you thirst for more. As always, I'd like to thank my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon for being the electrical conduit to my tram line. I'll put a link to those down below. And I'll see you all again very soon for another Tale from the Tube.